Well, I've been wanting to do this video for a while because this block right here on Paxton Street is where my ancestors actually lived. My 3 times great grandfather lived at 119 Paxton Street, which would have been right here. So there was a drugstore on the corner. 119, I think it's in a half, is right next to it, and then 119 is where my 3 times great grandfather would have been living at. I have photos of my great grandmother hanging out in the family car right here. They were pretty wealthy at that point because they actually owned, where they were partners in Trulinger Lumber right across the street, which is now that hotel. So my 3 times great uncle lived in this house here on the corner at that point because they were all in partnership together. And their other brother, the one that I have the old photo for hanging in my library, lived in the back there, back in Shipoke. But 119 Paxton Street would have been right there. One of the photos shows my great grandmother sitting in the family car in front of 135 Paxton Street. And you can see the sign for Ruhr and O'Brien Plumbing Company, which would have been right here. I believe that the car photo shows her possibly attending Sarah O'Brien's birthday party in 1914. My ancestor's house would have been at 119, 135 would have been the plumbing area, and then right up at the end, at the light right there, I think it would have been partially in the road, would have been the Union Hotel. So Nora Keane would have lived in the Union Hotel. Her brother owned that place and ran it, and she actually took over at some point because there's a transfer of liquor license. I'm thinking that the photo of my great grandmother in that car might have been at Hazel Strock's 10th birthday party, which is a little further up at 141 Paxton Street. This whole block is currently a Pinnacle Health parking lot, but there are 1950s aerial photographs that show all these houses were still intact at that time. My family's house at 119 was here. The plumber's house, O'Brien's, at 135 and 137 would have been right over here. And then the Union Hotel was still intact in the 1950s. So this would be it. This would be the front end of the Union Hotel. I believe part of it might have been out there where the road was. The road wasn't there. That extension to South 2nd Street was not there. South 2nd Street continued on. But railroad tracks, right where the camera's at, you can see on the maps that railroad tracks from the old Pennsylvania Railroad rail line came through right here, right in front of the Union Hotel. So the Union Hotel front door would have been somewhere around here, and this is where Nora Keane was living in 1912. Now in April of 1912, she was in Ireland visiting family. So she decided to get onto the Titanic second class to get back here as soon as possible. She heard how fast the ship was. It was a new ship, she wanted to see it. On April 11th, Nora Keane would board the Titanic on its final European stop, Queensland, Ireland, and it would continue out into the Atlantic from that point. So Nora was at sea for 2 days until April 14th when that iceberg was spotted. She actually recalled this entire event in a letter that was reprinted in the Harrisburg newspaper at that time.
It was terrible. It was fearful to hear the people. Some of them were quiet, but most of us were almost wild. Some of us prayed, but the men worked. The officers watched after everything and would not let men in lifeboats before women. The bandsmen stood together on the deck as the ship floundered, playing the strains of Nearer My God to Thee.
But Nora was apparently fearless because only a year later, after surviving the Titanic, one of 705 people to survive the sinking of that ship in the middle of the Atlantic, she sailed back to Ireland in May of 1913. The war was raging. During that time, the hotel was still down there. Nora was living down there. My great-grandmother visited right here where I'm standing. A couple birthday parties, the plumber was here, her daughter was here. Life was good in the area. But Nora's story gets crazier as it goes. In April of 1914, Nora would find out that her mother was ill. So despite it being World War II, Germany already saying that they blocked off areas around the UK and Ireland, and they already said that they would attack ships there, she boards the Lusitania. And I think we all know how that went, but So on April 3rd, Nora set off on a Lusitania from New York to Ireland. Once they reached Ireland, she left. Lusitania picked up passengers again. 3 Germans boarded the ship. So a month after dropping off Nora in Ireland, the Lusitania would leave New York for its last time. While they were en route to Ireland, one of the masters of arms discovered that 3 Germans that they picked up while they were in Europe the last time never left the ship. Well, May 7th, Lusitania was torpedoed by a German U-boat, killing 1,195 people on board.